From ancient ruins to a modern city, a creature of spite, hate, and darkness yearning to infect and corrupt. With only two men of God between it and the soul of a young girl. The power of Christ compels you to sit back and enjoy 2024's first episode of Monster Menagerie. Welcome to Monster Menagerie, brought to you by the Paladin Archives. It's 2024 and it's time to start fresh. New year, new monsters. If this is your first visit to the archives, welcome in. We're glad to see you. My name is Mason Kren. Mason is the title, Kren is the name. I work as a Mason for the Paladin Order, a clandestine organization dedicated to protecting mankind from all that lurks in the shadows. My job here at the Stewardship is to field incoming requests from Paladins, research their targets, and get back to them with analyses and recommendations. So, of course, in my free time, why not turn that analytical eye to the monsters of pop culture? We had a blast last year going through vampires, but now that 2024 is here, it's time for a change. We had a bunch of options as we ended the last year. Werewolves were an easy choice, an obvious follow-up to our year of vampires. Witches are a fun but underrepresented group that could have made for some good analyses. Oh, and who doesn't like ghosts? In the end, though, the community spoke, and I took the plunge. 2024 is the year of the demon. Yes, demons, the ever-present, amorphous threat from hell itself. If you thought vampires were hard to pin down with a definition, you haven't seen anything yet. So, before we get into this, let me just say that if you end up enjoying this video, why not consider giving us a like and subscribe? That way you can follow us the whole year as we delve into the domain of demons. But who could possibly get us started off on our Dante-esque dive into the domain of demons? Let's take a look at the demon that plagues poor little Reagan, Pazuzu. Before we can really dive into Pazuzu, we have to address the possessed elephant in the room. What is a demon? I think I've picked a good variety of demons for this year, but in doing so, I've really strained at sticking to a proper definition. Sure, we can look at Pazuzu, the demon that possesses a little girl and makes her projectile vomit onto a priest, and say, yeah, that's a demon. But there are tons of creatures in Western folklore and Christian mythos that can be called demons. Some are spirits, some are physical, some curse crops, and others ride into battle. Are hellhounds demons? What about chorts, huh? Is there a difference between a demon and a devil? What about the devil himself? Honestly, I could probably do an entire season of Monster Menagerie on just pop culture Lucifers. But that's just a small section of the West. If we step outside of Judeo-Christian mythology, heck, if we step outside of the European continent, we have plenty of creatures across the globe that have been called demons. Hinduism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, even the native tribes of North America all have creatures that easily get labeled demon. What do I do with yokai? Oni, Akuma, they've all been translated as demons at some point. So, rather than arguing endlessly about what's a demon and what's not, I'm choosing to take what I understand is a very subjective path this year. Simply put, any supernatural creature that is referred to as a demon in their source material, I will consider a demon. I know that opens me up to a whole bunch of confusion when it comes to deciding their threat level and suggesting ways to counter them, but I'm going to do my best. And for that, I'm letting you in on another special ranking we have within the Paladin Order, the Demon Ranks. Yeah, I know, they really racked their brains for that name, right? Well, if you're new to the series, Last year, I gave every vampire we analyzed a threat level from 1 to 10. Demons have this too, but we also recognize demons based on their abilities and powers and thus categorize them as classes. There are 4 classes of demons in the Paladin Order, with one being mostly harmless hellspawn, going up to extremely dangerous class 4s that can take on even groups of paladins with ease. Huh? You've heard there's classes of demons beyond 4? Where'd you get that from? I mean, can you imagine something above a class 4? Nah, that's just a myth. Anyway, with all that in mind, let's get into our breakdown of Pazuzu. And how better to start it than by learning the backstory? Hey Xemi, you ready, girl?
Hi, it's me again, Xemi. So we gotta summarize this shit real quick, so let's go! Alright, so it all starts on a very sunny day in Iraq. You know, we're like, chopping away at yeah, chopping rocks. Okay, and we meet Walter White, the priest, okay? Just go with it. And his name is Lancaster Merritt, and there he ends up finding a medallion and a demon statue. Very important, you know? So eventually he wants to go back to America, so he's like, okay, I'm gonna go back, but before I do that, he looks like at the statue, and once he's staring at him, there's like some weird like dogs fighting, you know, that's like a bad omen, like what the heck is gonna happen? But he's like, girl, bitches, I'm back to the States, you know, I could not live without my burgers. Especially Washington, you know, they make the best burgers there. And then we end up meeting Chris, which is the mom, and she's like, oh my god, I love being a Hollywood star. And Brick Denny is like, he's not relevant, so I'm gonna block his face, basically. But let's just say he's a friend that helps out Chris, you know. And then Chris moves into like a new house. You know, she's living that actress lifestyle, so she gotta have that new house with her daughter. And then after that, we get to meet Damien, and he's with his mom, you know. He starts telling his mom, I don't think I believe as strongly as I used to before. And his mom's like, don't worry about it. But you know, she's gonna die eventually. She's old. And then eventually, we come back to Chris. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like, my daughter, she's kind of quirky and stuff. Let me go check on her in the basement. Daughter, where are you? And then obviously she's gonna be in there. And she's like, hi mom, I'm in the basement. And she's like, oh, you're so quirky. I'm summoning demons. Look at her just playing with her imaginary friends. And then basically we cut back to like a church, and you see a priest there, and he's like, welcome guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. But oh shit, we saw like the Virgin Mary looking a little rough there. So he's like, whoop, that's not good. Bam, we go back into the house, and now she got priests, you know. For some reason, she loves hanging out with priests. But whatever, she's doing her thing at the party in her house. But then again, Reagan has to ruin it. So she's like, well, I'm a piss to embarrass your ass. And then she's like, oh man, what the fuck are you doing, girl? So she goes back into her room. And then she's like, you know, you probably have to like not do that again, please. And then she's still pissed on herself, so it's whatever. She's like, oh my gosh, what do I have to do with this girl? So then she puts her in the bed, and, you know, with her piss stains, and then she leaves. She's like, bye. But then all of a sudden, bam, the freaking bed starts moving. And she's like, oh shit. Even though piss is moving, you know, so she's possessed and she's screaming and she's like, mom, and she's like, what the hell is going on? And you know, the bed has to piss too because it's also possessed. And then we cut back, you know, weird shit's happening. And then we cut back to Mr. Priest Karras, and he has this little teddy bear. He's just dreaming up his dream, lashes done, everything looking cute. And then he's like, oh yeah, I remember my mom. Like, oh yeah, this thingy-majiggy, the medallion. And then for some reason he thinks of like a weird demon statue thing or whatever. And he's like, oh shit, bad omens? I'm done. And so much shit is happening. And she's like, oh my gosh, my daughter, she's turning more violent. She's turning weirder. Like, what is going on? And then obviously I want to see a doctor. And the doctor is like, have you tried turning her on and off again? She's like, fuck. I knew I should have held on to that receipt. I should have returned her when I could. But oh well, like, the doctor's no help. So she's like, whatever, I guess I have to deal with this now. And then, Reagan, she's kind of crazy. She loves doing crazy little things. So she goes a little bit more violent and crazy. And then one night, it's fucking cold as shit in the house. So she's like, bro, that's so chilly. Like, what the hell is going on? She's a little bit sussy. I know she's a little bit sussy. Like, what is going on here? But he ends up, dismissing it for now. And then, at the same time, there's Detective William Kinderman, and he's outside, and you saw Denny, dun dun dun, he's dead. He's dead outside. What the hell is going on here? Obviously, it's kind of sussy that it was Reagan's, window that he died from. It's not like someone could have pushed him or anything. So he just goes inside and tells Chris, oh, hey, girl, Bestie's dead. And she's like, not Bestie. And then later on, he tells Karis, oh yeah, that bro's dead. LOL. And then that, could it be that girl? That's freaking weird. I don't know. But Reagan's getting a little bit worse than usual. She hasn't been lotioning up as much as she should. And then she's like, bro, I gotta call a doctor in. And then the doctor's like, I know what you are. She might need an exorcism. That could probably help her out. And then obviously the detective's like, bruh, she's crazy. Good luck. Fuck. And she's like, it's her daughter. She has to be like, oh, no way she's a psycho. No way she's a demon or whatever. She's a little different from all the other girls. She's not like other girls, guys. And then she's like, obviously I'm a psycho. Bruh, stabs her with a crucifix. And then, we got the talent show. We got Reagan's talent show. Because over here, she's doing a lot of tricks, She could twist her head. Very unhumanly possible. But obviously, not a lot of people really appreciate that. She can even mimic a dead person's voice. Crazy. But obviously, they chain her up because it's like, damn, that sucks. Alright. So she's like, oh man, she's going crazy, she's going lonely. I need your help, Karis. I don't want her to have fun over here. And he's like, man, that reminds me of my mom. So they team up obviously, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna make sure to look at her, and then maybe we'll see if she needs an exorcism. And it's just like, oh my god, I have a new friend. Alright, we go back to America's Next Top Talent. And then she starts speaking in Latin, that's some impressive shit without studying it. And then obviously she projectile vomits. I think that's pretty impressive, but I don't think anybody else enjoys these new tricks that she has up her sleeve. So then he's like, be gone, demon, with the holy water, throws it at her, chokes it at her, and she's like, I'm not gonna get out of here until she's dead. The demon's talking, by the way. And then obviously the mom is like, damn, is she cured? And he's like, nah, bro, she gonna need that extra premium service here. And then eventually blah 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 stuff happens, and then it's like, oh my gosh, another thing happened that's fucking crazy. Her tummy says help her. And he's like, damn, me with Taco Bell, bro. We've all been there. But he's like, okay, let's take it seriously here. We need to call Walter White again, okay? Alright, he summons Walter White. I need your help. Give me some help here, bro. And then obviously, he's so cool. Like Marin, he's so cool, and he's experienced, he knows the tricks. So he's like, don't fall for whatever they're doing or saying. That's just a part of it. And he's like, aye, Capitan. And, they try to exercise her. Bam, bam, bam. Do some holy Bible stuff. And then, obviously, she doesn't like it very much. So she's like, all right, I gotta turn to that guy. He's the weaker link. She starts talking about the mama. Like, oh, your mama dead, bro. And, and he's like, I don't take kindly to this. Obviously, they take a break because it's a little hectic right now. So they're like, all right. Man, fighting this demon got hands. So eventually Marin goes back to the room, and he's like, oh shit, you turned into my mom. And it affects him. Like I said, he's a weaker link. So obviously Marin says, yo bro, I think you should sit this one out. You're a little weak, you're not as strong as you could be, and this is not the job for you. Bam, get out of here. And he's like, okay, demon, it's time to and then he dies. And then Karis is like, what the hell? Papa trying to beat down like WWE this demon. I got pissed. You're still possessing a little girl, to be fair. And then the demon's like, I got your medallion that protects you. And then he's like, whoa, I'm possessed. And she's like, yay, I'm cured. But he's like, fuck that shit, bam, dead. He jumps out the window because he's like, if he's gonna possess me, fuck that, no way. And he's like, damn, bro, rest in peace. And then, oh my gosh, we gotta get out of here. This is so traumatic for us. Besides, LA sucks anyway. Deuces. And that's the end of the summary. I hope you guys liked it. Bye.
The big thing about analyzing creatures for paladins in the field is that I have to go off of what I know. Sometimes I luck out and I can find books or records about the creatures they encounter, but often I'm called upon to analyze threats based solely on observation. So, in that spirit, much like last year, we're looking at Pazuzu based entirely on what we see them do in the movie The Exorcist. And yes, I'm aware that we don't get the name Pazuzu until The Exorcist 2, but that statue we see at the beginning of the movie is very clearly the Mesopotamian entity Pazuzu. Even if the movie never said it, that's a pretty iconic statue. So, all that is to say that in this part of the analysis, we'll focus solely on what we can see Pazuzu do in the film The Exorcist. First, and I think this is going to be pretty common for this year, we have possession. Unless you count the Ouija board that Reagan uses to talk to Captain Howdy, Pazuzu only appears in the form of a possessed girl. There's a bit of telekinesis, like when they open the drawers and lift the bed, projectile vomiting, which I'm not sure if it counts as a power, but I'd definitely get yelled at if I didn't warn the field paladins about it. Let's see, what else? Nope, definitely skipping that. They're insinuated to be strong enough to snap a grown man's neck and toss them out the window. Not sure if that was done with their bare hands or with the aforementioned telekinesis. What might be the most interesting power Pazuzu displays, though, is a supernatural knowledge, a knowledge of things their host, Reagan, couldn't possibly know. Sometimes called claircognizance. It means Pazuzu, or Reagan, on behalf of Pazuzu, just knows some things. It comes to them. Karis tests this early on with mixed results. Sure, she can move a drawer with her mind, but only once. She can speak Latin, but only a tiny bit from the confession that she might already know anyway. And some French straight out of a 1970s textbook. Sure, she speaks in tongues, but she also can't tell tap water from holy water. Let me see, does impersonation count as an ability? She does a mean impersonation of Karis' mother to mess with him. We'll note it anyway, just to be safe. Perfect recreation of Karis' mother. Unsettling, demoralizing, and that's what these kind of demons live on. Now that we know what the demon can do, let's look at how the people in the movie attempted to counter Pazuzu. Let's have a look at our cast of characters here. Of course, we have Reagan, the little girl Pazuzu possesses. Then we have our two priests. Foremost, Karis. His mother dies just as the stuff with Reagan begins, and it weighs on his soul. More than this, he's in the middle of a crisis of faith. But he's not the only priest in our cast. We also have Father Marin, who seems to have an established relationship with Pazuzu. At the very least, we see him unearth an artifact of the demon, and get a good look at its giant statue in the desert sun. Now, The Exorcist, much like Dracula before it, was one of the earliest depictions of our traditional demons. Faceless, formless, the mystery is what made it so scary at the time. It definitely wasn't the projectile vomit. At first, the protags attempt to treat her with, medicine. The film really makes it seem like these doctors have no idea what they're doing. And don't forget, this is 70s medicine, so the stuff was frickin' scary with or without a demon. In any case, they accomplished nothing, though I do find it interesting that Pazuzu's vessel, Little Reagan, went unconscious when administered a sedative. The main thing we're focusing on is the titular exorcism, as conducted by Father Marin and Father Karras, the faithless slime. They go through the typical ritual, administering holy water, pressing a crucifix against her, and reciting the appropriate section of the Roman ritual. It's not how the order would handle it, but then again, these are priests taking on demons. We're paladins, specifically trained for this kind of thing. Okay, I say we, but, I mean them. They do it. I sit behind a desk, nice and safe here at the stewardship. But speaking of paladins, what might their strategy against Pazuzu be? And will it be as simple as fighting Dracula? Spoiler, probably. Something to keep in mind is paladins are trained for this specific thing. We literally have an entire discipline, an entire class of paladins dedicated to demons and their eradication. And we have at our disposal, at their disposal, tools and methods unknown to the clergy. There's a parish father from our stewardship who's talked about it once. How did he put it? Something like, using clergy to exorcise demons is like using mall cops to fight a war. That's probably a little harsh, but you get the idea. For the order, this is a standard cut and dry affair. Textbook exorcism. In fact, honestly, I think this is something they'd probably bring a trainee along on for experience. Assuming Pazuzu conforms to the rules of demons in our world, we'd send a pair of paladins to confirm the possession, either with sensing, if the responding knights are talented, or at the very least to confirm with the use of their scanners. A quick sweep for dark energy will quickly confirm the possession, followed up by a laying on of hands and forced expulsion of the creature, and bam! Back in time for dinner. Since this is such a short affair, I think I'll take a moment to explain the anti-demon techniques from the order. In a nutshell, demons, depending on their strength level, have a hard time maintaining a hold on this plane. They need a vessel, someone to possess, in order to stay on Earth for any meaningful length of time. When a paladin lays hands on them, what they're actually doing is using their own spiritual energy to disrupt the hold the demon has. Imagine a possessing demon is like someone clinging to the edge of a cliff, right? When a paladin exorcises them, they're basically just prying up their fingers from the ledge, one by one. Anyway, on that note, let's get to the official ranking and recommendations, shall we? Even within the world of The Exorcist, I feel like Pazuzu isn't that bad. I suppose they're 3 for 3 with priests and others that are trying to stop them, but, 2 broken necks / defenestrations and 1 heart attack. But actual trained paladins are a completely different matter. Even with a bouncing bed and projectile vomit, I can't see them needing more than 2 knights to be dispatched. Pazuzu doesn't seem to have much in the way of offense. 3 deaths, 1 real attack. It's not nothing, don't get me wrong, but proper demons can do so much more. This isn't any more than a human is capable of. The biggest thing I have to say is that Pazuzu can't manifest without a host, and technically lost to a faithless priest and a man with a heart condition. Well, we'll call it a draw. 2 properly trained paladins should have no problem. None of this power of Christ compels you chanting. In, hands, out, 20-minute adventure. Now, for those of you that don't know, in my line of work, one of the things I need to do is fill paladins in on what it is they're going up against. So if they tell me, I spotted this vampire, then I'll need to look it up, maybe go off of what we have in records, see what I know personally, and I get back to them with my recommendations, but I also get back to them with something we call a paladin threat level. For those that don't know, this is a threat level that goes from 1 to 10, with the scale being heavily weighted towards the bottom. So a 1 on a scale like this is, say, your air fryer gets possessed by the spirit of your neighbor's dead dog. Okay, like terrifying, sure, probably very inconvenient when it comes to dinner, but like a single paladin can take care of it in an evening on his way home from work, right? 10. Well, like I said, these things are weighted towards the bottom, and let's just say that anything that rates a 10 on the scale is not worth worrying about, because there's nothing you can do about it. In this case, with as easy as the actual exorcism would be for a trained paladin, because I mean, look at what they had to do with one priest who lost his faith and another that was 1 foot in the grave with his heart condition. I gotta say, Pazuzu, the demon of the Exorcist, threat level 2. That doesn't mean he's a pushover, don't get me wrong. It just means that there are definitely stronger foes out there. And trust me, we've got a bunch of them coming up on our list for this year. Now, unlike vampires from last year, we actually have another scale we grade our demons by. You see, the denizens of hell come in a few flavors, so we're also going to designate a demonic class for them. These range on a list from 1 to 4 based on a few criteria. How sentient the demon is, how well it can maintain its presence on this plane without a vessel, and how well it can manipulate a vessel that isn't specifically trained to resist it. So, looking at Pazuzu, well, they're often fighting with Reagan. We can hear her voice break through quite often. Pazuzu's mental state seems to be unstable, and their motivations are terribly unclear. We don't really know what Pazuzu wants other than to be in Reagan until she's dead. And of course, Pazuzu never actually manifests as a separate being, unless you count that weird white face thing, which I'm not. All in all, Pazuzu is perfectly suited as a Class 2 demon. Now, time to file our report. Here is my official recommendation. 2 paladins recommended. Anti-demon with support from any other discipline. Holy water and crucifixes recommended as backup. Apply typical anti-demon tactics, i.e., the laying on of hands and forcing the subject from its vessel. And we are off! The year of the demon is in full effect with our first subject, Pazuzu. What did you think? Not the strongest one on our list, I promise you. But much like Dracula, we have to start somewhere, so why not pick the bottom of the ladder? If you enjoyed this, and I hope you did, please give us a like and subscribe. It helps us so much. We're active 3 times a week, minimum, over on Twitch. We play some fun games there, do some collabs with great creators, and even talk a little paladin lore from time to time. Speaking of great creators, a big thank you to Xemi Nuve, the badass vampire VTuber. You might recognize her from the extended review of last year's vampires, and she's still here. I don't know, I guess someone invited her in and now she's stuck. Still, I'm absolutely thrilled to work with her and get her expert opinion as a vampire. Please, make sure you follow her over on Twitch. Oh, and she's a killer artist too. I'm so excited to show you what we have in store for this year. Did you like Pazuzu's analysis? Do you like the new layout and format? Who do you think we should be looking at next for Monster Menagerie? Leave your thoughts down in the comments, and we might just end up taking your suggestion. Well, with that, I'm out of here. Maddie says we've got a cobalt escape in progress over at the actual Menagerie, because, this is the archives. It's all hands on deck. Oh, not for capturing them. That's a paladin job. We we have to clean up the mess. Anyway, until next time, remember, keep your eyes peeled. You never know what's hiding out there. Can we all just appreciate this for one moment? A doctor in a hospital, moments after treating a child, lights up a cigarette. Peak 1973.